In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the custom events. Mixpanel custom events are basically, they are also events, but think about custom event as a modified event or modification of your existing events. I've seen that in many cases, custom events are a way to either clean up a messy implementation or a way to report on a group of events instead of having them as individual events. For example, if you have an action in different parts of your product that have been, let's say, wrongly attributed to different events, but ultimately they are the same thing. If, for example, I have a create button on my homepage and I have another create button on my profile page, and the two do the same thing. Let's say both of them create an order. I have a create button on my own page that creates an order, and I also have a create button on my user profile that does the same thing, create an order. But for some reason, they fire two events, maybe because of a wrong implementation in Mixpanel. I don't need to delete one event because I will lose the history of that event if I delete it. We just need to create a custom event with the two events and then say those two events are one and continue to use the custom event. So irrespective of where the create button is clicked from, the custom event carries the history and the property of the two events together. Although sometimes it's not as a result of a poor implementation, sometimes as a result of I want to understand these two events together in the same context as one and treat them as one. I don't want to look at them separately. I want to treat them as one event and then continue to carry on the properties of those two events. In many cases, I see that the custom event comes in handy when you're looking at things like a frequency report, because a frequency report only takes in one event. Let's say I have 5 reports in my product that are represented by different events. I can create one custom event and put all the 5 reports within that event and then look at the frequency, because it's not even possible for me to put more than one event in the frequency report. So let me leave the talk and show you what it looks like. So the way to create a custom event is either going through a report while trying to select your event. You then see a create button where you can create a custom event. So when you create a custom event, let me call this custom event 1. I can go in there and say, okay, I actually want the doc commented and doc viewed to be one event. And I want to understand, let's say, the frequency of doc comment and doc viewed, either or both. I want to treat them as one. So I'll create the custom event as doc. And once I do that, if I save that event, I can now use that event in a frequency report. So this frequency report is treating both events as one and same. So if either anything happens within either of both events, is treated as that major event, and that's where the custom event comes in. So it's not only just used for like a frequency report that only takes in one event, but I just want to look at this report, this event, as one. Anything that happens to one event happens to all events. So think about custom event as the event version of a group. I want to treat this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events as one. So anything that applies to one of them applies to all, versus looking at them as individual events. Note that the creation of the custom event does not negate the events that are within it. Within the product, those other events are fired. Like in this case, I can edit the custom event, by just clicking the custom event. The doc comment and doc viewed events are still fired in your product as expected. If you still look at your reports based off of doc commented as an event or doc viewed, they still function independently by themselves. And of course, the custom event doesn't have to be just event. You can also do events and specific properties. I'm looking at doc comment from Algeria and then doc viewed from Argentina. Those are the only things that I care about. The custom events also work based off of event properties, not just events alone. So it's just a way of combining two events and seeing them as one, even though those two events can exist independently outside of the custom event. To see all your custom events as well, if you go underneath your lexicon, you would see the custom events under the computed data. So this is the custom event I created. You can see the events that are associated with the custom events, which is doc comment where country is Algeria, or doc comment or doc viewed. And of course, you can edit, you can add descriptions and see how many times they've been used. And I say a lot, the best way to get the most out of Mixpanel is to actually play around with it. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.